If you've been keeping up with high yield ETFs, you've likely heard of MSTY, YieldMax's MSTR Option Income Strategy ETF. Now, MSTY is part of a growing class of monthly paying covered call ETFs that aim to provide eye-popping yields by harvesting option premiums from volatile underlying stocks. Now, the question then becomes, can you actually retire off of the income MSTY generates? And if so, how much would you realistically need to invest? So let's dig into the numbers, the risks, as well as a realistic plan for retirement using MSTY's current yield. Let's go over MSTY. At the time of this recording, the current share price of MSTY is $21.68, so around $22 per share, as well as the last distribution was $1.23, which is actually one of the lowest distributions it's paid out since inception, as we could see at the dividend payout history. But this is still going to give us an annualized yield forward facing of about 70%, which is still an amazing distribution rate so far. And unlike some of the more popular ETFs as of lately, such as ULTY, this ETF is a monthly payer. So a lot of people are not attracted to monthly payers. People love getting those weekly dividends, and if that's for you, ULTY is definitely an ETF you should definitely have on your radar. Now, in my opinion, MSTY is one of the best single stock ETFs, because remember, the underlying holding is MSTR, and it's based off of the volatility that MSTR provides. It's been paying really high distribution rates, as well as pretty stable NAV. As we can see, it loves to hover around this $20 price point, and as long as it stays pretty consistent, a lot of people are going to be making a ton of money. And in my opinion, right now is a great time to add more shares, or if you're looking to get started with a position in MSTY, now is a great price point, especially since we are down 5% actually on this Friday. We have our spreadsheet here with some basic calculations to kind of help give us an idea of how much we can make from income from this ETF. If you're generating weekly cash flow from ETFs, the last thing you want is for fees to eat into your profits. And that's where Moomoo comes in, this video sponsor. And honestly, they've built a platform that I think is ideal for income-focused traders. With $0 commission trading, you allow more of your money to work for you, whether it's from ETFs, stocks, or options. And for more advanced traders, Moomoo gives you access to level 2 NASDAQ total view data, so you can see order book depth and spot opportunities others might miss. Add in advanced charting tools and 13 different option order types with built-in take profit and stop loss automation for amazing assistance. Plus, if you're parking cash between trades or waiting for the right entry, Moomoo also offers a 4.1% APY cash account and a limited time 8.1% welcome bonus APY for new users. And in addition, up to 60 free stocks when you deposit $5,000, which is a pretty compelling offer for anyone trying to maximize income. Check the link in the description or the pinned comment below to get started and claim your bonuses. Back to the video, here is our spreadsheet with different income scenarios: a $10,000 investment, $50,000 investment, $100,000 investment, $250,000, and $500,000, $500,000. Now, most people are not going to have insane amounts, but if you continuously invest, use those distributions to reinvest back into the fund, eventually you can get to these higher amounts, which are going to be paying you every single month very high distributions. Now, of course, the distributions are going to vary from month to month. We can take a look at the history. It's paid out as high as $4 per share, as well as low as $1.23 per share. So it does vary quite a bit, and it's all about the volatility of the underlying stock, MSTR, MicroStrategy, which determines the option premiums, which is going to be paid out to us in the form of distributions. So if we have $10,000, then we're going to be able to buy 461 shares of MSTY based on the current share price of $21.68. this is going to give us a monthly income of $571.13. Multiply that by 12, we get $7,424 in annual income, which is very high. And remember, even though this is a monthly payer, we do get 13 distribution payouts because it does pay out every 4 weeks. So that's why we're actually multiplying this by 13 rather than 12. Now, if we have $50,000, we're going to be getting 2,306 shares, bringing our monthly income into the thousands, $2,855, annual income, $37,000. For most people, this is not the amount where we want to be at in order to successfully retire with MSTY. $100,000, doubling our amount, is going to give us 4,612 shares, bringing our monthly income to $5,711. And our annual income is going to be $74,000. And remember, this is all going to be before taxes. So you do have to keep that in mind as well. For some people who live in very low cost of living areas, such as Texas, you can actually have this as a pretty reasonable starting point to retire off distributions alone from MSTY. Now, of course, there are many risks with retiring off MSTY, which we will go over later in this video. But $74,000 in annual income based off of the last distribution, which is actually on the lower end, is going to be a pretty good amount. Now, if we have $250,000, we're going to be having 11,531 shares, bringing our monthly income to $14,000, $185,000 in annual income, hitting the 6-figure mark. Absolutely amazing. This is the point where people are going to start questioning, can they quit their 9-to-5 job and live off of this income? The answer to that is it depends, because we don't know how consistent the dividends are going to be in the future. Could MicroStrategy's volatility drop to the amount where it's no longer paying high distributions? But if we assume all the conditions are going to stay the same, share price flat, distribution rate about 70%, $1.23 per share, getting this consistently, you can definitely retire on. And it's going to pay all your expenses as well as give you some extra income to invest in some other assets. Maybe you want to invest back into MSTY, grow your distributions, or place it in something a little bit safer. Some of the popular ones are going to be the NEOs, income funds, BUY, which is the NASDAQ index, covered calls, very stable NAV, paying out a reliable 14% distribution rate every single month. And if you want to be a little bit safer, S&P 500 index, SPY, BUY NEOs is going to be a really good option as well. But it does pay a little bit lower distribution rate because the S&P 500 is a little less volatile than NASDAQ 100. So we're going to be getting 12% dividend yield, which is going to be paid out every single month. Now, if we have $500,000, we can get 23,000 shares, which is going to bring our monthly income to insane levels, $28,000 every single month. Annual income now becomes $371,000. And this is the point where you don't really want to reinvest back into the ETF itself. You want to preserve your wealth because that's an insane income you're going to be making. And one of the best wealth preservers is actually going to be CHD. Now, this isn't the best ETF to grow wealth. It's one of the best to preserve your wealth. And this is why. Very defensive companies inside this ETF. We take a look at the top holdings. It has very defensive companies: Chevron, ConocoPhillips, Amgen, PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, Home Depot. All of these stocks, 100 of the best dividend payers, which actually perform quite well during recessions as well as lower interest rates. And we're going to be getting paid every single quarter just under 4% dividend yield. Nothing too crazy. You're not going to get rich off of this fund, but it's one of the best ETFs to preserve your wealth, get a consistent dividend growth payer, and you can definitely sleep well at night putting your money into this ETF, knowing it's not going to tank 50% overnight. So the answer to the question, can you retire on MSTY? Of course, it depends how much money you have because you can make some serious annual income. And even a $50,000 investment, bringing your monthly income to just under $3,000 per month is nothing to shy away from. But before you go and quit your full-time job and go full fire retirement, you have to understand there are risks associated with this ETF. This isn't a risk-free bond fund. MSTY's income is high because it writes out of the money call options on MicroStrategy stock, MSTR, because it's trading in extremely volatile underlying. And that's how we're getting this high distribution rate. And that's why it's one of the most popular ETFs on the market right now, because it has a very volatile underlying. Now, the real risk with this strategy, retiring on MSTY, is if MSTR continues to drop and drops sharply. Then MSTY's NAV is going to decline as well as lower premiums. If we see this stock drop to, say, just a hypothetical, to $50 a share, MSTY is going to be not as good as people are thinking. So if you do believe in MSTR, MicroStrategy, you're bullish on Bitcoin, you're bullish on strategy stock, then this is a very good ETF to invest in. However, if you are bearish, another stock that you can buy is actually Winter and WNTR, which is the inverse short option income strategy ETF for MSTR. Basically, when MSTR drops, this ETF performs better. Not really a good long-term hold, but for people who are actually bearish on strategy, this is a good ETF in the short term to generate some option premiums. But overall, on paper, you can use MSTY to fund your retirement. You wouldn't want to put 100% of your portfolio, probably not even over 50% of your portfolio. Make it a fraction of your portfolio, giving you that high income. And if for whatever reason it tanks, you don't blow up your entire portfolio because you have other investments in there. And that's really what funding your retirement is all about. Not necessarily placing all of your eggs in one basket, but spreading them across different income funds and ETFs, so you make sure you have consistent dividend income coming in even when one or two of them are not performing well. Now that's it for this video. Let me know down in the comments how much shares of MSTY you have, how much annual income you're making from this ETF.